pleasure to be here commentating for you tonight. We have Monday Night Modern at Redcap's Corner in West Philadelphia. And for our first round, we have Henry on the left versus Pete on the right. I'll take these for you. Henry is playing Infect. Versus Pete. And Pete tonight is playing Kiki Combo in a Blue Moon Shell. Really interesting list. So hopefully we'll have some great games for you tonight in round number 1. Not sure how this matchup is going to play out exactly. I imagine that Pete is going to have to go heavy on the control plan. He does have Blood Moons. Those should hopefully be able to shut down the Ink Moth Nexuses. So all he's going to need is to point those removal spells, like his bolts and stuff, at the infected creatures, and hopefully that will be enough to keep him alive. Henry, on the other hand, is going to need to play it slow, play one threat at a time potentially, and just protect it with his counter magic and pump spells. So, see opening hands. Just a note, the lighting is definitely better tonight than it was last week, and we will continue to improve things. It's still a little bit grainy because it's too dark, and we still have a little bit of sound stuff to work out, but incrementally we make these improvements. Alright, so, looks like Pete is thinking about his opening hand. Can't exactly see what's in there. I see Snapcaster Mage, and maybe a couple lands, and it looks like Henry is going to keep. Pete is going to mulligan. Not enough lands. So Henry, I believe he has his Hierarch as well as a Pendelhaven, so that's really all you need to get off the ground. I expect he also has a threat, maybe play a turn 2 Blighted Agent, or turn 1 Glistener Elf, something of the sort. So, advantage to Henry already in the mulligan. Hopefully Pete can find a good 6 here. Ladies and gentlemen, hope everyone's having a great day. I'm having a great time. Very happy to be here. It's a beautiful day today. It was warm despite the recent cold. I'm feeling good. Happy to be here. Hopefully people will start filtering in and we get some chat going in the comments. I think it's literally one person right now, but people slowly filter in as this game gets underway. And oof, Pete already going down to 5. That is brutality. Hopefully we can make something happen here. I believe that was him going down to 5, unless I'm mistaken. He's going to need perfect. Yep, here we go, 5 cards. Lands and spells, Pete, let's go. Alright, it looks like he has to keep that. He doesn't love it, though. He hasn't decided. Yeah, he's keeping. And he's going to scry that to the bottom. Probably looking for lands. And we're underway. It looks like Henry's on the play, and like I said, Pendelhaven, Noble Hierarch. It's a good start for him. I see a couple lands. He's got a Glistener Elf. He's got a Vine, so he's off to the races already. Land go from Pete. Henry playing with his lands in front. Obnoxious. Let's see here. So Pete on mulligan to 5 is a real tricky situation. Henry's going to be able to play his infect threat this turn while also leaving up vines to protect it. You see him playing this Breeding Pool untapped, taking the 2 damage. I wouldn't be surprised if he just passed here. He just wanted to have that 2 mana up. And that looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Pete is going to fetch here. I expect a Steam Vaults coming into play tapped. And he's going to need to do something about this Glistener Elf sooner rather than later. What did I say? Steam Vault? Steam Vents. We get just a glimpse of his deck there as he shovels up. Looks like a Blue Moon Shell with just the Kiki combo sort of jammed in there as well. Pretty interesting list. Favoring that combo rather than like Shackles and some of the other cards that would typically go into Blue Moon Shell. Looks like he's just going to pass. He's hitting land drops. That's all you can ask for in a mulligan to 5. Passing back to Henry. Gonna play his third land here. And I expect he is just gonna chip in for 2 poison here. Make it 3. He's gonna respond to his own Exalted trigger. While his Glistener Elf is still a 1/1, make it a 2/3. Exalted resolves, goes to 3/4. Henry's gonna take. P is gonna take 3 poison. They need to just not worry about it. Sure, dice is perfect. Great. Creative fellas figured out a solution so that everyone at home can see what's happening. And Henry's keeping that 2 mana up. I'm sure Pete is suspicious of that. And I expect what Henry's going to do is just try to hit for 3 at least one more time, then either finish Pete if he's got an extra redundant pump spell, or possibly just save his pump spells. Okay, this is an upkeep. Oh no, draw step. Looks like a Vendilion click in the draw step for Pete. So at least going to make a blocker. He's thinking about what to fetch here. Probably just a basic island. Although his life total doesn't matter, so the reason to get basic island is so that when he plays Blood Moon, he has 2 blue sources and 1 red source rather than 2 red sources and 1 blue, which is favorable because he has cards like Vendilion Click. So you go on the stack here. I assume that's going to resolve in Henry's draw step here. See if he wants to play something in response. He's doing some math. Pete is tapped out, so he's thinking, if I can give my Glistener Elf evasion and 7 power this turn, then he can just respond to the Vendilion Click trigger to set up lethal. So I don't know what he would have to give it evasion, maybe trample. Let me get Vendilion Click up on the screen for everybody. Good old V-clip. V-click. Here we go. That's essentially going to allow Pete to force his opponent to put one of the cards in his hand at the bottom of his library and draw a new card to replace it. So Henry is fetching. Vendilion Click is still on the stack, or the trigger, it doesn't really matter. And it looks like he has spotted lethal here. It looks like he's going to pump his Glistener Elf in response to the trigger. Nope, he's just going to dismember. Makes sense too. Oh, maybe, no, so he's going to dismember and he's going to pump. He's going to set up lethal that way. Yeah, it looks like he's going to pump it up to 7 power right now. It's 2. Vines is going to make it 6. The Exalted trigger is going to make it 7, and then it's going to be lethal. Sure, you can keep those. Click not at its best here. Good play by Henry in his draw step to set up lethal in response to the click trigger, and that's all she wrote. So Henry is going to be up 1. Pete was on a mole, so that's pretty rough. And these blue-red control decks tend to do better after the sideboard. He's going to be able to board in answers. His list is a little off meta, so I don't know exactly what his sideboard is going to look like. So let's look at an Infect sideboard, speculate about what Henry is going to board in here. So, I imagine the Dispel is going to be coming in. The Dismembers aren't great, he might remove them. I imagine Spellskite is really good post-board as well. And I don't think he'll do that much sideboarding. Probably just as many Dispels as he has in the 2 Spellskites, and he'll take out some of his removal, like the Dismember. As for Pete, hopefully he has things like, is it Staticaster could be really good. Electrolyze if it's not in the main. Pinging for 1 damage can be very effective against Infect. Obviously they can pump it in response, but you make them have it, and you also ideally deal damage to their 1/1 Infect creatures either on their end step or during your main phase, so that if they pump the creature to save it, at least they didn't use that pump to deal damage to your face with the Infect creature. So I imagine for Henry here, the Dismember is going to come out. Looks like he's thinking about cutting the Become Immense as well. That is a card which can be clunky. It's easy to just shave if you're trying to shave down numbers. Let's put Is It Staticaster on the screen. I didn't have a chance to chat with Pete too much about his list, but I did see him with this card in his hand, so hopefully he has it in his sideboard. His Staticaster is like the Maelstrom Pulse of Pingers. It's great for dealing with 1/1 tokens, but it is also just a Prodigal Sorcerer with haste. Ping down your 1/1s, very effective. Block in a pinch. Go to me here as we prepare for game number 2 as our player's sideboard. Just to remind everyone, this stream is brought to you by Redcap's Corner in West Philadelphia. My name is Garrett. I am your hairy host. It's good to be here. Feeling hype about this. This is a great matchup. I want to see Pete's deck do well. I like the idea of Kiki-Jiki in Modern, but you can see Infect can just get way ahead really fast, and the control decks, if you go under them too quickly, it can be a struggle to stop Infect from just killing you. You see, Pete doesn't even need to commit to his pump spells when he has his Noble Hierarch and his Pendelhaven. And because Pete's only removal is in the form of red spells, he gets to keep up his pump spells as instant speed counter spells, essentially. It's really tough to shut down those infected creatures, so Pete is going to need to draw sideboard cards here. Back to the board. See our players shuffling up. Game number 2. Hopefully my phone doesn't die tonight before all these matches are done. We're using it as a life counter. If anyone out there wants to donate an iPad to our cause for a life counter, that'd be dope. Let me know. Pete carefully counting his deck again. Don't recommend doing this. It takes a lot of time and you're not really shuffling. But we're also at regular REL, so he wouldn't get a game loss for messing up his sideboard, putting in the incorrect number of cards. It is something you might want to do if you're playing a competitive REL and you're really paranoid about maybe accidentally going down to 59 cards. You can count your cards and make sure you still have 60 going in the next game. Alright, Pete, I have this Staticaster on the screen to entice it to the top of your deck for you. Hopefully he draws it. Let me see. I also saw he boarded in a Dispel, it looks like. So what was one other card? What was that? He's definitely got some spice in the sideboard that's coming in here, so hopefully he'll be able to keep a 7-card hand this time, come out with a good start on the play. He's going to need a Blood Moon to shut down the Inkmoth Nexus and some Pendelhavens. It looks like Pete has spell skips. So. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong deck. Looks like Henry boarded in Relic of Progenitus, which is pretty interesting. I suppose it's there to shut down Snapcaster Mage. Seems a bit heavy-handed to me, but I'm no expert. Pete getting his Diet Pepsi. Important element to his game plan here. Alright. Let's see if his 7 is better this time. Yeah, he's keeping that. That was a snap keep if I've ever seen one. Henry, however, is not liking it, so he is going to mulligan. I think I saw, that was what it was, I think I saw Engineered Explosives out of the sideboard for Pete. It's an interesting choice for his sideboard because it is a card which wants you to have multiple colors of mana. I can put it on the screen for you. But in the case of Henry's deck, he only has 1 and 2 drops, so Pete only having access to 2 colors of mana isn't going to punish him here. And because it is an area of effect, so to speak, it destroys all permanents of a certain CMC, it is a good way to remove Henry's 1 and 2 mana infect creatures in a way that can't be protected by cards like Apostle's Blessing or Vines of Ashwood. So it can be particularly effective here. Looks like Henry kept 6. We're out of the gates. Land go from Pete. That is the prerogative of this deck. Fetching here for Henry. I imagine this is a breeding pool. Don't know if he's playing around Blood Moon yet. Nope. Just gonna get a breeding pool here. If you're just joining us, we are in Game 2 of Round 1 of Monday Night Modern here at Redcap's Corner in West Philadelphia. Welcome. Some hype in the chat. What is this? You can see the lighting is not perfect yet. I'm having a hard time seeing what card this is. 1 mana enchantment. Pete is going to let it resolve and then just fetch end step. I'm going to be right back. I want to see what card that is. Here I am showing my ignorance about the new sets. It's a 1 mana enchantment that says whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, draw a card. So it is a way to deal with cyber card, to deal with them boarding in single target removal, which makes sense to me. It's called Shaper's Sanctuary, something like that. Shaper's Sanctuary, that's right. Sounds like a Path of Exile item. Get that on screen for you. There it is. Powerful effect. It's like a Ristic Study. And going back to the game, it's like Henry. His only threat right now is an Inkmoth Nexus. So that is definitely good for Pete. He's gonna want to try to resolve the threat soon. He might just swing in with his Nexus, but it can be risky. Turns Pete's Lightning Bolt into 1 mana instant speed Stone Rain, which can be very effective. It's like Pete is just gonna try to cycle Remand on this Glistener Elf. Henry's like, okay, that's fine. He still has another mana, so he's gonna be able to fetch and play it again. He should be getting Basic Forest here. Yeah, absolutely. Play around that Blood Moon. You don't need 2 breeding pools. Save a little life as well. And I imagine he's just going to replay this Glistener Elf. Here it is. 1/1, Infect for 1. Pete's turn. I believe Remand is one of the first spells he's played this match, if not the first. So Pete's on the board this game. He played a click last game, that's all he did. Let's see if he wants to do something now. Henry doesn't have access to blue mana, so the coast is clear if he wants to play a Blood Moon or something. Maybe he's just going to kill the Glistener Elf now, thinking that it's unlikely that Pete would be able to protect it. Basically the only thing would be a Mutagenic Growth as a 0 mana pump spell. But if he's got the Bolt, I would definitely just main phase Bolt the Glistener Elf at this stage. Looks like that's his plan, if I'm not mistaken. Just thinking about it. These players have 50 minutes, so Pete's taking his time. Playing against Infect is really tricky. You often don't get to make a lot of decisions over the course of the game, so it's okay to take your time and make sure you make the right decisions, because the game can end in an instant. Looks like Pete wants to fight on Henry's turn. I don't know if that's right, but we will see if it pays off for him.
Hours and hours of content.
Henry just needs Pendelhaven here or a Noble Hierarch, and then he should just be able to sit back, plink away at Pete's life total. He's not under any pressure. He's just going to send for 1 this time. I don't expect him to even commit to a pump spell unless Pete tries to kill it, and then he will use his pump spells to protect while also pushing damage. I would say it's a mistake to fight an effect creature during the combat phase, just because it can be so risky. If they protect it while also pumping it, that can be dangerous. So he's just going to set up a blocker. Pete is going to play Snapcaster Mage, target the Remand, give himself access to Remand. Also playing this as kind of like an Ambush Viper, just a flash 2/1, come into play and block. And that's going to force Henry to respond. pump it just to protect it. And it looks like Pete is just happy to trade this Snapcaster Mage for one of Henry's pump spells if he can get away with it. It's also potentially a way of removing the Glistener Elf without having to interact with this Shaper Sanctuary. So here we have a Groundswell. +4/+4 to my Glistener Elf. And you don't need to remand this, Pete. Just let it happen, let it eat your Snapcaster Mage. Groundswell is +2/+2, Landfall +4/+4, and because Henry played his Verdant Catacomb this turn, the Groundswell is giving +4/+4 to his Glistener Elf, making it 5/5. That should be fine. Let's see. I assume we're in the Declare Blockers phase. I'm not 100% certain. Henry likes to play with his creatures behind his land, it looks like, so it's a little bit difficult to tell. Still getting a little bit of glare on Pete's cards. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that ahead of round 2. Still working on the lighting stuff. Alright, so it blocks, he lets it happen, goes to damage, and he successfully traded his Snapcaster Mage for the Groundswell in Henry's hand, which looks like that's a deal that he can get behind. And now he's going to commit to Engineered Explosives on 1. Yeah, that is very interesting. And we saw this last week with Ratchet Bombs. It's really interesting when you just have this card in play on 1, because Pete doesn't need to commit. I mean, he can take 1 poison every turn if he really wants to. And he basically limits Henry's ability to attack, to at least pump his guy, because if he pumps, then Pete can just pop the explosives. But it also takes away Henry's ability to... Yeah, that's right. It takes away Henry's ability to play additional Glistener Elves, if that was his plan. So, Pete is pointing out that his creature did not become the target of a spell or ability. Henry is about to draw from Shaper Sanctuary, but his Inkmoth Nexus is not a creature. Now, even if if Henry were to animate his Inkmoth Nexus in response, he still will not have satisfied the condition of this Shaper Sanctuary that has in play, because a creature will not have become the target of a spell or ability. His land became the target, but it wasn't a creature. It was not a creature when it became the target of a spell or ability, so there's nothing he can do to get the extra card from Shaper Strike. So here, finally, I think this is the first time Henry realizes that this isn't just Blue Moon. He's going to get Kiki Jiki to death. I hope it happens this game, because I want to see it, and I want to see this go to the game 3. Let's see what Henry can do about this. Looks like Pete's in a good spot, though. Even tapping down the Inkmoth Nexus. Here we go. So now Henry's thinking, man, I do need to keep those Dismembers in after all. Assuming he boarded them out, but now he might be thinking twice about it. Don't know if Pete has the Kiki Jiki. If he does, he's deliberating over if he can just jam and go for it. I'm kind of a fan. He's got to be worried about the Inkmoth Nexus. He does have 0 poison, and Henry only has 4 cards in hand, so it's pretty unlikely that he would die next turn to the Inkmoth Nexus. But even still, you just have to jam against this deck. Just end the game if you can. You don't want this game going on forever. Pete is deep in the tank here, but like I was saying, these games are usually pretty short. It's really worth it to take your time against Infect. You only get to make so many decisions because the game can end so quickly. You really want to make the right ones. So I respect Pete's deliberateness in this matchup. Henry going for another Breeding Pool. Not respecting the Blood Moon. Maybe just wanting 2 blue sources. His Verdant cannot fetch an island, so I suppose that makes sense. I don't suspect this deck plays many islands. You really want untapped green sources for turn 1 plays. But they probably have 1. No, looks like they don't play any. Just can't afford to have an island on turn 1. Going to Pete's turn. Plenty of mana. He's got that Shaper Sanctuary in play. But the Engineer Explosives is threatening to take down both the Elf and Shaper Sanctuary. Like, really respect Pete's decision to just leave it in play on 1. He never needs to activate it, right? He can just do it at the last possible moment and prevent Henry from making any more 1-drops on the board, playing any extra Glistener Elves or anything of the sort. Okay, so we're responding to the Inkmoth Nexus activation here. And this is a cryptic command. Return your Inkmoth Nexus to your hand and draw a card, probably. And again, this doesn't activate the Shaper Sanctuary. So it's a really good play here from Pete, actually. Recognizing he needs to do it before the Inkmoth Nexus is activated, and we're in the same situation again where Henry can't activate it in response. It will never have been a creature whilst becoming the target of a spell or ability, so he's not going to draw the card. Henry, just playing that Nexus again. He had not played a land that turn, so he does get to replay it. Pete stays alive for another turn. Just digging closer to that Kiki Jiki. Passing turn back. Pete's going to go get a Steam Vents. That will be his 3rd red source, so if he has the Kiki, he can go for it. Nope, just getting an island. I'm sure the Kiki is just a 1-up. It's even possible that he boarded it out. I don't love it, right? I mean, the idea of boarding it out is you might think that... Oh, and the Shaper Sanctuary. I might have to intervene here. I'm going to do so. Alright. Those things going away. Pete deciding to pop his Engineer Explosives just because of mana efficiency. Kind of makes sense. He wanted to spend that 2 mana while he could. And we have another upkeep. Seaver Exarch, tap down your Inkmoth Nexus. Henry wants to fight this time. He's going to animate it in response and then use a pump spell to protect it. Probably a Vines. But this might be a fight that Pete is able to get ahead of. Henry pays to animate it, pays 2 mana to pump it. If Pete has 2 responses, like a counterspell and a bolt or something, he can make this fight work for him, so we'll have to see. I see there is an Apostle's Blessing in Henry's hand. Let me get that on the screen for you. It's just the best give your creature protection spell. See lots of new Phyrexia cards in this deck. It's kind of funny. Even the ones that don't have Infect are just good in the Effect deck, like Apostle's Blessing. Here we go. He's playing it. Paying 2 life, paying 1 mana, giving it protection from blue. And Pete does have a counterspell. He's going to fight over it with the spell. Counter target instant. That's going to resolve. Let's see if Henry wants to fight more. Pete only has 2 cards in his hand, so he's definitely running out of resources here. And for those of you wondering, that sound in the background is the trolley. It's right outside the window. You're just going to hear that. Lots of ambient noise in this room. We are a busy game store. That's alright. Alright. Henry's going to fetch. Activation of Inkmoth Nexus. Still on the stack. No, the activation resolved. Excuse me. The Seaver Exarch trigger is still on the stack. Attempting to tap down the Inkmoth Nexus. Henry still wants to fight. Okay, this is a Blossoming Defense. +2/+2 and Hexproof. Sorry again for the glare. We're going to have this sorted out. It's just this is a process we're all going through together, improving the Redcap stream. It's just a lighting issue. That is a Blossoming Defense. It's going to give +2/+2 and Hexproof. So our Inkmoth is a 3/3, then Henry goes to his draw step, draws for turn. He's going to play a land and fetch. He's probably going to play Become Immense and try to end the game right here. See what Pete can do about it. He might be out of instance. This could be the game, ladies and gentlemen. Become Immense. What is that? +6/+6, I believe. I'm going to double check that. Immense. Looks like that is the new art from Might of Old Krosa. He's playing it as a sorcery, so that's +4/+4. So we have a 7/7 Inkmoth Nexus. Yeah, it's +6/+6 on Become Immense. Swinging for 7 poison here. And that's okay. 7 is not 10, so Pete can survive this. Unless I miss something. Alright, before combat, looks like Pete want to stop. Can we go to declare attackers? Someone's tanking here. Pete, 1 card. Henry, 1 card. 7/7 in the air. Henry deep in the tank. Attack for 7. That's Henry. Okay, he's going to go for lethal here. Come immense. And all Pete has is Anger of the Gods. Pete extends the hand. Henry's going to win it 2-0. Game 1 was kind of a dud, but game 2, that was really thrilling. Very well played by Henry, recognizing that he needs to pull the trigger. Pete was running out of cards, but he was threatening to draw Kiki Jiki and end the game at any point. So Henry really wanted to just put on the gas. He went all in. It paid off. Excellent game.